Now, according to the survey commissioned by Imodium, what are frequent diarrhoea sufferers identified as the main triggers? Nick, we'll start with you.
Well, I think this is easy to remember, Liz. It's food and mood. Food and mood. I tend to deal more with the mood side of it, but food comes in a very integrated way. I see a lot of people in my practice who are stressed, who have a busy lifestyle, who've probably got personal problems going on, maybe there are difficulties with work, and this is impacting on the way they feel and on the way that their bowels work. So food and mood, I think, are the major triggers.
So stress has a big impact on your bowel then? It can actually cause diarrhoea?
Stress can cause diarrhoea. It adjusts what's called the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. It alters the balance of that and puts it more into the area where your things are passing through the gut very quickly, you're not absorbing as much, you may be secreting into the gut, the balance is altered, and this can give rise to diarrhoea. And of course, when this happens and you begin to get diarrhoea, then you begin to feel out of control. You can't, you have to dash to the loo, you're even more stressed, it becomes a kind of vicious circle, and that just goes round and round until it gets worse, and you have to treat it.
So that's the mood?
That's the mood.
Let's move on to the food. Amanda, this is your area. Sensitive gut, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first point to pick up is that mood impacts on the choice of food that you make too. We all know that when you're stressed, you don't tend to make the right food choices. So there is very much a kind of interwoven aspect between food and mood. A sensitive gut, again, it's a bit of a catch-all term, the symptom of which may well be diarrhoea. But that can be down to food intolerances or food allergies, which are actually quite distinct, but may be bundled together. Food intolerances, it's not just a trend made up by the newspapers, it does exist. It tends to build gradually over time, and it may well be because you're eating the same thing repetitively. Often it's wheat or gluten, high gluten content foods, and dairy, lactose is another one that's very common. It can be something more unusual. An allergy, people tend to be more aware that they've got an allergy, a food allergy, because it's a very immediate reaction. So allergies, you tend to be aware of. Intolerances build over a period of time.
But there are trigger foods and trigger drinks like coffee and alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely. So overdoing it on anything. Caffeine, I think most people are aware of the link with caffeine and their digestion, and the fact that a lot of people use coffee to go to the loo in the morning in a sort of slight way. Overdosing it, yeah, can trigger off in a sensitive gut, definitely diarrhoea. Overdoing alcohol, same deal. Wake up the next day, off you go. These kind of things, it's kind of part of this unwritten part, it's unwritten rule, if you like, of excess. It doesn't mean that it should go untreated or unnoticed. And one of the things I struggle with helping people with sometimes is actually taking notice and saying, don't just live with it, try and do something about it, try and get to the root cause of it, but also don't suffer in silence, because diarrhoea in particular, I think more than most other kind of lifestyle type conditions or symptoms, tends to be very debilitating, embarrassing, something you would restrict your lifestyle over. So very much something to be a bit more upfront about.
Yeah, so it's not just tummy bugs, food poisoning that causes diarrhoea then, Nick?
No, it's a lot more than that. Of course, if you just have one bout of diarrhoea, it could be something you've eaten. There could be a toxin in the food. You might have eaten something that's got a virus in it. You might have been in contact with somebody who's got food poisoning. You might have eaten contaminated food. So this can happen. But food poisoning as such, gastroenteritis, tends to clear within a few days. So if you've got diarrhoea that goes on beyond, say, about 4 or 5 days, is chronic and persistent, then that can be a problem. It needs to be treated. You have to get hold of it and treat it, and you have to think of other things such as food and mood.